Took us 3 goes to get on, but we're on. Now, first thing we're doing is we're going to the surgery to drop off the prescription renewal thing. The house is sold and somebody in it. And that house is for sale. Another one for sale here, that's 2. How long they'll be. I bet mine takes years to sell. They're not. That's seeing somebody getting a new roof on over there makes me think about whether they did a good job on mine or not. Hello, Pedro. Or should I say, in this case, left. Have you got audio, Pedro, or not? If you haven't, you'll obviously not be going to answer me.
Successes of Tillemann's career was his raucous passion. This sacred word comes from earlier in his career, from 1716, when he was in his early 30s.
I repeat, have you got audio?
Like the settings of the Passion texts that we're familiar with by Bach, those were known as oratorio passions, settings of the biblical texts that were closely connected with the liturgy and always performed in church. Tillemann's raucous passion, on the other hand, is a passion oratorio. Hamburg music critic of the time described these as sacred operas, which were usually performed in secular concert halls. Rather than using existing texts, they set specially written poems, in this case by the contemporary writer and councillor Barthold Heinrich Ruckers. This one's called Jesus Martyred and Died for the Sins of the World. Ruckers wrote it in 1712 and printed it not just in Germany, all over Europe. Composers clamored for translations to send to music. The language of Ruckers' poem is rather elevated and lofty, but it was designed to have a very powerful effect on those who heard it, provoking strong emotions. He focuses on the things that will move us as human beings, on violence and suffering, on blood, on piercing of sinews, veins and flesh, on the humiliation of Christ, spitting, flagellation, laceration, and thorns. For the first time, in German music, having bought a copy of the printed text, it actually became an admission ticket to performance on the second day of 1716. The Hamburg audience could see that they were going to get their money's worth. By the standards of the day, there was a big orchestra, including a bassoon, 2 flutes, 3 recorders, pairs of oboes, trumpets and horns, as well as a solo violin, and 3 violette, which could be either violins or viols. We're going to hear the end of the first part, where Christ is taken before the high priest Caiaphas, who accuses him of being a blasphemer. The assembly of priests sentence him to death. A faithful soul broods on their vindictiveness. The daughter of Zion laments Christ's bitter fate. She alone is guilty, she says. My sin binds me. Then comes one of the most dramatic passages in the Passion. The brazen sound of horns driving Judas on. His frenzy Maria, lest he's at heart eaten. Do not leave this to me unavenged, as he begs to have his flesh rent, his bones crushed.
Jesus aber mal in beschränkt und mit abscheulichem Geschrei baten auf Pilatus hingerissen.
Oh. Now is that car going to sit there or is it going to move? He's got his foot on his brakes, suggesting he's going to drive off. I'm guessing he isn't. light as well. Now we've done the first errand, now for the second one. Which is the news agents. Starting the drilling again. I don't know what the drilling is for. I don't. Christmas sandwich.
erotic photography aimed at
Iconic American dishes, cheesecake, peanut butter, and popcorn. Good popcorn could inspire me to dance too. Mouth-watering radio, The Essay, weeknights on BBC Radio 3 at 10:45. This is BBC Radio 3, 90 to 93 FM, on digital radio and online. It's 1 o'clock and this is Penny Gore with a summary of the latest BBC News. The Palestinian militant group Hamas has said it was behind a bomb attack on a bus in Tel Aviv this morning, in which at least 10 people were hurt, 3 seriously. Television images showed the bus standing across the street from Israel's National Defense Headquarters, with heavy smoke coming from it. Hamas rockets have also landed in Israel, which has again fired on targets in Gaza. Efforts to find a ceasefire are continuing in Cairo. The Archbishop of Canterbury has said yesterday's rejection of women bishops means the Church of England has lost its credibility.
Channel.
And pies.
Of all of our careers, and we're just so pleased to come back here and celebrate with all our fans. It's been amazing. Thank you.
To the lows. Chelsea give their manager the boot a few months after he won them Europe's biggest prize. But do managers make any difference anyway? The BBC News is read by Harriet Cass.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams, says the Church of England has a lot of explaining to do after its ruling body, the General Synod, rejected legislation to allow women to become bishops. The measure was approved by bishops and clergy, but failed to get the necessary two-thirds majority among lay members. Dr. Williams said the Church had appeared willfully blind to the priorities of modern society. This report by Michael Buchanan.
The Archbishop of Canterbury told the Synod that today was always going to be difficult, regardless of how yesterday's vote had gone. But he was clear that the decision to reject women bishops had harmed the standing of the Church. A great deal of this discussion, said Dr. Williams, is not intelligible to wider society and appears to make the Church seem willfully blind to trends in the country. Every day, Archbishop of the Church failed to resolve the anomaly of women priests but not female bishops was a day when the Church's credibility was diminished. We have a lot of explaining to do, he said. Rowan Williams was speaking after an emergency meeting of the Church's bishops this morning as the Anglican leadership tries to contain the fallout from a vote that has dismayed many within and outside the Church.
David Cameron has said he's a strong supporter of women bishops and is very sad about the outcome of yesterday's vote. During Prime Minister's questions in the Commons, he said it was important for
a woman bishop be a bishop
with society, and the introduction of women bishops was a key step it needed to take. A bomb has exploded on a bus in the centre of the Israeli city of Tel Aviv, wounding at least 10 people. The militant Palestinian group Hamas has said it was behind the attack, which happened as Israel kept up its bombardment of Gaza. Efforts to end the 8-day-old conflict are continuing in Cairo. Our Middle East correspondent Kevin Connolly is at the scene of the bombing in Tel Aviv.
In the immediate aftermath of the Tel Aviv bus explosion, a police helicopter hovered overhead and roadblocks were set up at major junctions in the area as the search began for the bomber or bombers. In Gaza, news of the attack was broadcast from speakers on mosques and greeted with the sound of celebration gunfire. The events of the day certainly won't help the search for a ceasefire. Israel again pounded targets in Gaza overnight, but it does remain possible that the two sides are making shows of force as preparation for some kind of deal. The search for that deal will enter a crucial phase when the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton begins talks with the Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi in Cairo.
The Supreme Court has ruled that a Catholic brotherhood which supplied teachers to a residential school can be held legally responsible for the sexual and physical abuse of boys there. 170 men claim they were victims at St William's in Market Wheaton in East Yorkshire over a 40-year period. Our Home Affairs correspondent Danny Shaw reports.
This is a highly significant ruling which extends legal responsibility for institutional, physical and sexual abuse to organisations that don't employ the perpetrators. The case concerned the De La Salle Roman Catholic order, which provided teaching staff, including headmasters, to St William's residential school, where boys were allegedly abused between 1952 and 1992. The Brotherhood didn't employ the staff or manage the school. That was done by another Catholic body which admitted liability. but the Supreme Court ruled that the De La Salle order should also be held responsible because placing brother teachers at St William's had greatly enhanced the risk of abuse by them. The ruling is likely to lead to an £8 million compensation payout and will pave the way for claims to be brought by other victims of institutional abuse.
Police in Shropshire say a week-old baby boy has died after being bitten by a dog at his home in Telford. The dog, a Jack Russell Terrier, has been put down. The government borrowed more than £8.5 million.
Julius, have you not got the password yet? Have I not given you the password?
On the same period last year. The figure, which was significantly higher than expected, will make it harder for the Treasury to meet this year's target for reducing the deficit. Here's our business correspondent, Jonty Bloom.
The government is trying to reduce its total borrowing this year to £120 billion, but so far it's had to borrow £73 billion, £5 billion more than last year, and if that trend continues, the target will be missed by £10 billion. October's figures were adversely affected by both a fall in the amount of corporation tax paid by companies, down by almost 10%, and a sharp rise in spending on benefits, which was up by more than 7.5%. That's bad news for the Chancellor George Osborne ahead of next month's autumn statement, because this makes it more likely that he'll have to alter his borrowing targets or go further to increase taxes and cut spending.
The most senior judge in England and Wales, Lord Judge, is to retire as Lord Chief Justice next.
Well, I'll get you the passwords out when I get home. I obviously can't tell you what it is here because that would defeat the object. But I'll let you both have it, the password that is, later on. If you're wondering why, it's down to a certain little band of gossips known as Scuttlebutt. Okay? That's the reason for it. Scuttlebutt is the problem. In fact, I was tempted to use that as a password, but I decided against it. So that would have been funny, that would, wouldn't it? Anyway, just going to go and get my bananas, my banana armours.